Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, Thomas. Once again, it's pleasure talking with you, talking about some of the key topics. So it is, once again, I'm very happy, very excited to invite you to this podcast series. And we have done it in past, and good to see that, we can bring more knowledge and share the knowledge with lots of people around the world. They have already appreciated your contribution, and I'm sure they will like the way you present the talk. And so, welcome, Thomas. How are you going today?
Thank you, Dharam, for these nice words and nice greeting. It has been a time when we met the last time to have a podcast and discuss some relevant topics relevant for project managers, for the guys who we are serving, and helping them to get better and have better projects, but also have a better life.
Yeah,
I've been doing great. I'm still volunteering with the local chapter in my country, Germany, and helping them to create events and get good speakers. But also, I'm doing a lot of webinars for chapters. So just yesterday, I did a webinar for the PMI UK chapter, which is very good attendance and net promoter score, which was very good.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm retired, as you know, but I'm still very much in the profession of project management, as I have been since the year 1988. When I decided to become a project manager as a professional project manager, and I also decided with that, decisions are not only that you decide for something, but also you decide against something.
Yeah.
And I really cut off my knowledge, my experience, my role as a technical engineer. I was a systems engineer at IBM. I designed data centers and did all the stuff. And I decided against it because I said, as a project manager, it's much better to deal with people and not with machines.
Exactly. So, thank you. And the thing is that everybody knows about Thomas Walenta. He has been presenting part of the PMI for a long time, and he had done several webinars and podcasts and written, I don't know, what have you done? So you're already very famous. So it's good to have you in this podcast series. And, and we have a very interesting topic. We'll talk about it. And before that, as you probably know, and many people knows, I am into mentoring, guiding professionals with achieving the PgMP, PfMP certification, PMP certification. So I'm very excited, happy to say that, that at the moment, as of now, 392 PgMPs from 48 countries, which is around probably 12-13% of global number. I'm happy with these numbers. The numbers are growing faster than anybody can I thought of. And it's exciting to see this, the training or the process I built is really working. And and that same system I applied for my PfMP certification program. And I'm happy to say 82 PfMPs all passed with above target result, 100% above target. So,
good to hear.
I'm very, very happy with that.
That's actually, Dharam, how we came together. When I was a PgMP, there were not many PgMPs when we met, maybe 2,500. Now we have 3,500. So it's a very exclusive group of individuals who really managed to do that. And I personally, I became a PgMP after my retirement because I couldn't afford the time before when I was working to study so much. It was my study effort. I did it without any support and a mentor like you are. And today I would really recommend everybody to get a mentor, to get some help and to get some input on how to succeed in the exam, because it's much more tough than the PMP. If I recall the PMP and the PgMP, I think it's PgMP is 3 times the effort and the difficulty than the PMP. So if you where a PMP and learned with the PMBOK guide edition 6, we have almost 1,000 pages on that book alone. It's hard, but you don't imagine how hard it is to become a PgMP. Much harder.
So one thing I like to tell, when people say hard means complex means because you don't have the right approach, you don't have gone through the right training or mentoring or books with you, and that's where even simple thing can be harder for you. But if you have gone through the path and you have seen this type of things again and again, the harder journey can become more enjoyable or exciting. So anyway.
Exactly. So we are talking about perspectives, As a project manager, we always come to a situation where somebody finds it quite complex and maybe there's chaos. And our task is to reduce the complexity in the minds of the other people, to make it simple. And that's what you are doing for the guys who come to the PgMP, they see books and whatever, and then you give them some kind of idea what to look at, what is the structure, and reduce their complexity.
Exactly. So, all great. Thank you for the kind word. But today's topic is very, very interesting. And that's where, the mindset, when we talk about, as a project manager, the typical project management versus thinking like an entrepreneur, there's a huge difference between the success rate and again we can talk about what is success means to a project in the traditional project versus the entrepreneurial mindset we have, and the person thinking they think differently. They make the things happen which may be seen not achievable, difficult, complex, but somehow with that focused mindset and entrepreneurial mindset they can make it happen. So look, this is our topic for today, and I like to get your views on what your thoughts around how can a project manager convert or transform themselves into entrepreneurial mindset project manager.
Okay, so the question you are posing is basically repeated for the audience. It's achieving project success with an entrepreneurial mindset.
Exactly.
And what you're saying, totally right. So let's think about what is an entrepreneurial mindset. How does it differ maybe from others? What are the key points? And just to mention 3 or 4, it's first of all, an entrepreneur is a risk taker. So he goes into the future, he or she goes into the future and just looks out for opportunities and then experiments, does something, it may fail. And in many cases, it will fail. Maybe, if you look at startups are good examples. So people go in, have a startup, and then 90% of the experiments fail, are not successful. But then grab the one that will be successful and be able to understand when it is successful and when to stop your failures. So it's a risk taker. Not in the sense of a project manager. Normally, a project manager doesn't want to take risks. He wants to control risks, identify risks, understand risks, and control them by defining mitigation measures or a plan B or whatever. This is not the entrepreneurial style. You go the risk and then you react as you go along, being aware, okay, it will probably fail. 90% is a failure rate. So that is the point. They know they can fail and they are not afraid of it. And that's a very bad behavior for project managers, because they know they should succeed.
So Thomas, can I ask you a question here? It's a very interesting point, risk taker. I know the entrepreneur, the startup, they have different mindset and they have a different attitude towards achieving something. And sometimes they're using their own money or investors' money. They have to make it something new. But when we talk about project managers, they are running the project under a organizational structure. Where you have a typical set of sponsors, stakeholders, the steering committee with the defined rules, protocols, procedure. And in this kind of environment, how do you think a project manager can think outside the box what can they do as an entrepreneur?
Well, yeah. Well, my personal attitude is that I don't like rules and I don't adhere to rules. So that's another point of entrepreneurial mindset is these guys have one rule. The rule is make it happen.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Make it happen. So, and that's down to earth, very practical. Not make it happen on the piece of paper in a theory, in a plan. Make it happen here. Grab it and do it.
Yeah.
And that's no nonsense, no deviations or nice mental models or whatever. So taking a risk and make it happen, these are the two attitudes, I would say.
Attitude, very nice.
Are there for an entrepreneur, which might not be present in every project manager. Some project managers, they are more respecting the environment, respecting limitations, and maybe are afraid of crossing boundaries. Although, there is a saying, it's better to say sorry for something you did than not try it, And in the end, if you don't try stuff in complex projects, you will fail anyhow because you are too conservative and not trying out everything to make it happen.
Yeah.
And the thing that is also needed for an entrepreneur in that mindset, and it's also needed for a project manager, I would say, is to be enthusiastic.
Very nice.
Really to not only try to be logic and make a plan and rational. No. You have to be in it as a whole person, night and day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and then you're enthusiastic and you can do it. I'm not saying you should not sleep, but I'm saying just love what you do. So today I had a meeting in Frankfurt with Ricardo Vargas, who is an old friend of mine. He was the chair of PMI and at the UN, and he brought up many things. He said, the one thing that brought me through all my stations in life was I love the stuff I do.
Exactly.
And I say love, it's being enthusiastic is a little more neutral, not so emotional, but no, love the stuff you do, and then you will be successful.
So I like this word, and I'm applying this in my day-to-day, whatever I'm doing. Love what you do. And other way around is do what you love. That's another thing or another way of looking at life.
Yeah.
So for in the traditional or typical project management, you, as I said earlier, you have boundaries, you have a certain, guided, policies, procedure to follow. And you have to make it happen as well, while the sponsor has been given responsibility to get it done, but then they hire you as a project manager. And you are the person who could do work with your team, work with all the resources and constraints and making it happen, loving it and excited about the work and making it possible. That's again, what you said is correct. That's what the project manager has to do.
Well, if I'm a project manager in a situation, you have a sponsor who's looking for somebody to implement this project he mentions. The point is, it's not important what's in the charter. It's not important what the task is. It's important that you get an excellent relationship with the sponsor.
Yes.
That love what you have to love the sponsor. So he loves you back, and then you are a undividable pair of people who make it happen. So he has to trust you, and you have to trust in him, and then it will happen. By the way, trust, which comes to my mind. We project managers, we are influencing other people. You call it stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement. Yeah, if you influence other people, and the most important influence we have is to build trust. in our teams, in our customers, in our sponsors, in our contractors, what we have. So this trust building, everybody of us, as every project manager, has to be focused on being a trust builder per excellence, to know all the tools and techniques, how to do it, and to really exploit it and make it happen. And that's a little bit different to an entrepreneur, maybe. You know, an entrepreneur has to build trust to certain people, but not to everybody in his environment. It's much more. And an entrepreneur has to focus on finding the right opportunities and doing the make it happen thing. But now it might happen without building too much trust. There's a difference between project manager and entrepreneur.
I disagree on that. You know, whether we're talking project manager or entrepreneur, they have to build a trust, and the trust with your investors, trust with your sponsors, trust with your team, and you know there are several entities around you. So they should see this person is actually the leader who can take us from here to there. He can make it possible. Same thing as you know. You mentioned the project manager.
I could agree with you on that characterization. Nevertheless, I find it more important for the project manager, because the project manager is working for a sponsor, working for a company, you know, and so there is less inherited power. You know, you are there, and most project managers are really powerless. The only thing how they can build power is by influencing others to trust them, and vice versa. And then, you know, with trust comes the handover of power. That's the entrepreneur doesn't have to like the investor, but the investor, sure, they also go a risk. You know, they know that 90% of their investment goes down the drain. So yeah, they look at it and have their own experience. They say, okay, this guy, I give him 1 million, and then let's see in half a year what happens with that. But it's not so much trust, you know, it's more a calculation of an investor.
Yeah, exactly. You know, trust and calculation all comes together. And yes, when your team, your sponsor sees that, yes, you are the trustworthy, you are the true project manager, keeping them informed as part of the stakeholder engagement, they give you more power. They empower you more, so you can take more decisions of your own and you know, do something, make it happen. That's what it is. So what else? What else do you think as an entrepreneurial mindset which can help project manager to make the things possible?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned risk taker. I mentioned make it happen. I mentioned enthusiasm, love for what you do, and the people around you. And also, as an entrepreneur, different from a project manager, is you have something nobody else has. Maybe if you are a project manager, you have that what many others good project managers have. You know, you are comparable to them. And if I'm a company and I want to build a project management practice, so I don't want to have the same guy cloned, but I want to have a common set of capabilities in my project manager. So there is maybe not a unique selling point for you, but for the entrepreneur, there has to be something. You have to stick out of the crowd. You know, you have to be recognizable for your customers, for your investors, for everybody, even for the people who try to work for you in your company. And this is, I think, the USP is also something special for the entrepreneurial mindset. You know, that you understand you have to stick out, you have to be outstanding. You know, and do your stuff. I also, you know, maybe looking at that, there are a lot of great websites out there, and I found one website. It's called NFTE. It's talking about the competencies, the attributes of successful entrepreneurs, and there are 8 of it. What they say. So you might Google that, NFTE and look at these. And many of these, are also something that are important for project managers. So are there maybe common ground? So like number one is critical thinking,
Critical thinking, very
meaning that
important.
you are taking perspectives maybe, and taking different views and being very critical about your assumptions and applying different kinds of logics to what you're doing. Critical thinking can be learned, and it's related to other thinking styles, system thinking, and what you do. And then what we see more in project management in the last 15 years is adaptability. It has been important before, but now with the rise of agile thinking, then adaptability becomes a core asset of a project manager. You have to be very adaptable to what you're doing. Communication, collaboration, it's key for project manager as it is for the entrepreneur. And now will come the comfort with risk. I think this is a special, as we said before, risk taker that is more prevalent in an entrepreneur than in a project manager. But it should be different, the tolerance for uncertainty is very high, has to be very high in an entrepreneur. But some project managers, especially if you are maybe having a project where human lives are depending on, if you play, then you have no comfort with uncertainty. You want to be certain and want to have prototyping and whatever to reduce any risks that could come up. So these are the four first attributes I found there: critical thinking, adaptability, communication, collaboration, and risk comfort. Comfort with the risk. And does anything relate with you what I just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, as you correctly mentioned, this critical thinking, and I can also talk about leadership and resilience, because things do not go as you like. Risk, if things happen, adaptability is very important, because you start with this mindset, if you're going to achieve this in the 3 months, 6 months time, but because of environmental factor, you need to reevaluate and readjust your time, direction. I mean, that's where, of course, you follow the change control process.
You talked about resilience, and that's very important for project managers, because as a project manager, you will run in a lot of situations you consider to be disruptors. Change happens, or a key team member gets sick, or whatever happens, and you have to be stable enough to understand what it is and find a quick solution and continue with your project as good as this. What an entrepreneur needs beyond of that, I think it's not only resilience. It's to take advantage of any disruption. To look at opportunities. Okay, here's a disruption coming up. What can I benefit out of it? So I was holding, as I said, the workshop for UK yesterday, and one of the topics we discussed was the relevance of VUCA, this uncertainty and so on, and VUCA is used very much to frighten people. There's VUCA, it's also the quick and uncertain and ambiguity and everything. It's complex, and people are, and an entrepreneur likes VUCA because that gives opportunities. If you have the opposite of VUCA, it's all stable, it's all known, you don't have options. It's what you need at night. If you are in bed, okay, you want to have this. But in real life, if you want to grow, if you want to do something, then you need VUCA. And this is what another you might know about that. It's Antifragility from Taleb. Taleb is an author from Lebanon, a very bright thinker, and he invented this term antifragility, which means if I have a disruption, have a problem, I blossom from it. I grow from it, you know.
Mm.
And that's anti-fragility. And entrepreneurs have to be in that mindset of anti-fragility, have to love problems and have to and are able to grow from them.
Actually, that's a very interesting point. You love the problems. You know, when there's a problem, of course, you are not thinking that way, but you need to see what this problem is going to bring to me. You know, and this may be opportunity for me to think differently, outside of the box, and you may find better solution than what you were going through earlier.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you resolve the problem, you move to next thing, but make sure lesson learned are captured, so you don't repeat the same mistake again and again and again. You learn from that and you can grow from that. You failed, of course, many times you fail, just like any entrepreneur. But what we did, so we should avoid it next time. If you do the same thing again and again, you're going to fail again and again. You have to learn from that and grow from that. And, and that also applies to the project management. You know, sometimes when you are given a very unknown, you know, as you can say, VUCA, you're talking about uncertainty and, you know, lots of things happening around, but you still have to make it possible. And again, you know, you don't have a clear direction. You take step, you take it back. You take a step, take it back. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't work. But what did work, lesson learned, and do it better next time. Right.
That is doing even, you know, experiments to understand what can work or what cannot work. So don't do it always on the real life, you know. And but if you are an entrepreneur, you got some seed money, you know, you can say, okay, I'll use part of it to make my experience, to learn, and to be then prepared for the real thing once I recognize the real thing. And you mentioned again the point of uncertainty. I think this is one of the great differentiators between entrepreneur and a project manager. The risk comfort, I said, I love risk, I love uncertainty. That's an entrepreneur. As a project manager, I would always say, if you love uncertainty, you didn't do a good risk analysis, you know, and risk preparation. So there is some difference. And the reason is the project manager has a given task, you know, a given product and a given budget and time frame and whatever, you know, and the expectation of the sponsor is make it happen as the constraints are, you know. But, you know, for an entrepreneur, there is no such specific task description, you know. The only task description is, be successful. However, you know, make it happen and find your own ways, and then you have to take risks. So, let me just finish this part on the NFTE, if you want to look it up. So the attributes of successful entrepreneurs, there are 4 which are left, you know. Is an entrepreneur has to show initiative and rely on himself, you know, and go on, you know. Don't wait if somebody pushes you, you know. You have to be pushing yourself every moment. Has a future orientation, you know. Don't brag about your past. So I did this and that and here and there, and don't be sorry about things you did yesterday. You know, look to the future. What will I do tomorrow? In the next hour? In the next 5 minutes? And look in this direction. And the third thing is be able to identify the opportunities that comes along. I always use the picture of the metaphor of the river. If you look at a river, there will be things coming along, but you have to be looking at them. You know, there is a piece of wood or a paper or a fish or whatever, and they are swimming along. A lot of opportunities or potential opportunities. You have to be watching, observing, and you have to be able to understand. Now I grab it, you know, and that is what although is very important, to grab the opportunity at the right moment and the right opportunity to do that. And the last thing is creativity and innovation. Without being creative and innovate all the time. And innovation also means being creative, but also learn from your past creative sessions. Yeah? If they were successful or not. Try something, and then innovation means that you build on that and implement it and see how it works. So these are the 8 attributes, and I found them very good. And I identified there are some things. Well, all of that would be fine for a project manager, but some things are maybe different in most project managers.
Yeah, and these attributes, you apply them at different times, part of the life cycle. For example, creativity. You apply the creativity mostly when you're formulating the project, when we are into the early stage of the project, because hey, look for the different solution. Is it only one way to do? Maybe, there's many ways you can do the same thing with the more creativity, with applying the different way of doing things, having a different type of people, and you make a different result. So that's where the creativity you mentioned correctly. Think outside the box.
I would even say you need creativity at any point, because you need creativity when there is a problem. And problems can come up front, you're right, with not understanding what exactly to do, but also with implementation at the end, problems show up. And somebody said, I don't remember who it was, but all of life is problem solving. And that's it. And another guy said, although found that fine, we have a problem if we don't know what to do. So if we and we have this every day, we have a problem. So if you go for a dinner in a restaurant, so the problem is what should we eat? Which restaurant to choose from?
Exactly.
And so creativity is needed to find optional solutions for any problem. So you need it all the time. If you many people do problem management wrongly when they just have a problem and then they have a solution and then they go for it. Because the first idea for a solution might not be the best idea. So you should always have at least 2 options to choose from. And if you have one option that you choose, the second option makes you more sure that no, it's the first option we choose, and it's a reason because the second option was not so good.
Yeah, I mean, having all this knowledge about these 8 points you mentioned, it's very great. But also, as a project manager, you need to know your tools and techniques. As a good plumber, as a good electrician, you are as good as you have tools. If you don't have tools, you don't know that techniques or the how to get the best out of this, it's still not good enough. So you should invest time to learn different type of tools and solve the same problem with applying the different techniques. And PMBOK can be a good place to go and look for, hey, what is the Ishikawa technique and brainstorming technique and this technique, Delphi technique, various techniques available. So learn about those techniques and see which technique can be effective in this situation. So
really, and that's what I did. In '98, I remember I achieved the PMP, and in the PMBOK at this time, I learned about earned value. Never used it before. In Germany, we in Europe, we didn't hear about earned value so much. So I read the PMBOK. There was a really focus on earned value, and I was reading a PMO then, and we implemented earned value for our projects. And it was very, very, very useful, and we implemented that. That's exactly what you're saying. We learn about something, but then there's a theory and maybe a concept, but then you have to apply it and try it out and see how it works.
Exactly. So it's just reading the book. I read a PMBOK, I read the standard for programming, project management, portfolio management. It's not good enough. You apply the knowledge. Having certificate is, good to have a paper, but apply that knowledge into your project program portfolio management. That's where you're really gaining out of those certificates.
Right.
So that's it. This is what and to make yourself a better project manager, better program manager, portfolio manager. Think outside the box. Look at the technique mentioned by Thomas, and all beautifully talked about, and apply them. Some of the technique you learn may not work. Okay, what next? Maybe something else I can apply. So keep devising.
Even also consider every project is specific. It's a specific situation. So if I try out something in this project and it is not helpful, it's not that the technique is bad. Maybe just the situation was not the right situation for that technique, and maybe another technique, another project, it is very suitable. It's like if you're doing Scrum, not every project is suitable for Scrum, but there are projects that can use Scrum very well.
Yeah.
So and that's also where you have some experience. So if you have a technique and tried it once in one situation, not much. You only know if you are trying it out in several situations, in several aspects.
Yeah, perfect. So look, it was a very interesting topic. I'm sure people are enjoying it. The comments will tell us more. And thanks for sharing your experience and expertise in this area. And as a project manager, we know that but the most important thing is you need to believe that this is kind of your money is involved in this. So make it possible. Make it possible. Of course, you have to live within the constraint you find around you, but within those constraints, you can still have some take extra believing in that and make it happen. Having right people allocated to that, raising risk early enough, and resolving those risks can make it, navigate through the complexity and all kind of things.
Exactly. So thank you, Dharam, for the opportunity to have a lively discussion with you and to share some thoughts, some experience. And as I said, I'm a project manager since 1988, so there is something there. I just need some stimulation, like from your questions, to pull it out,
Yeah. So look, as I said, we're going to put this on video, this on YouTube, and people will watch. And I love to see their feedback and like to see what you learned from this discussion. And if you can put some comments, love to see that. And then also let us know what else you want to hear from us. So, we are here to bring as many discussion, as many topics as we can. There's no limit at all. As long as we are alive, we continue to putting on this information.
And don't hesitate to connect through LinkedIn, for instance. I still have some open slots to extend my network. So I'm happy to answer questions. I'm also happy to respond to your ideas or maybe other questions.
Yeah, definitely. Thomas is one person you really want to have in your network. So, and of course, he has knowledge, expertise, and experience. Why not utilize him? His expertise. Of course, he is a busy man, and but he is always ready to help. So please reach out to him for anything he can help you. And if he can't help you, then you know where to come. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Thomas, and thank you all for watching and your love and the support. Keep giving us. So thank you, and see you next time.
Yeah. Bye bye.